What was it like going from Brown back to Brooklyn?
That was interesting because I feel like my friends saw me differently, and that's hard. That's hard. Like even today, most of the friends that I had from kindergarten, middle school, all the way through high school, that we maintained friendships even through college. Once I came back, for some reason, I it's like I have one of my friends that's the same. All the other friends, sort of those friendships, just sort of like dissipated, and I think it's because I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to I don't know, people have insecurities, and when you're having conversations with people, sometimes they'll just like assume that, oh, you don't get it. You went to an Ivy League school. And I'm like, but we grew up together. Like, just because I went off to a different school and had a different experience doesn't mean that we have to drift apart. And I think some people, it just kind of like changes their perspective about you or their impression of you, especially because, I started working right away after college because I joined Teach for America. So they place you at a school and you start teaching immediately. So I was making like $40,000 right out of college. And that year, it was like right after the Great Recession. Like it was 2011 when I graduated, and we were kind of in the thick of it.
Right.
So a lot of my friends couldn't get jobs,
Yeah.
and they went to really great schools, state schools that are really, well known, and couldn't get a job. And here I was, like, right out of college, back home working $40,000 a year, which today might not sound like much, but for someone
At 22, that's a ton.
That's a ton of money for somebody in New York. And so I was just like, I felt really bad, and I think it kind of definitely put a dent in some of the relationships that I had, and especially made it hard for my family because they just saw me as like, oh, now that you're back, you're gonna give everybody money. And I was like, whoa, let's make one thing clear. I have some credit card debt to pay off. Like, I'm not here to just be giving out money. But I think it's hard for a lot of kids that are first generation, go off to college, especially if you go to a really prestigious school and come back, your family sort of sees you as like the one that made it, and like you're gonna come back and help us all.
Right.
Like, and you have to it's a hard conversation to have, but I had to kind of really set boundaries and say, like, I have to handle my situation before I can help anybody. And I'll do what I can, but I will kind of draw the line. Like, I'm not gonna like let people dictate how much I provide. I have to say, like, this is what I can do, and then this is where we kind of gotta, you have to understand that I have so many other things going on too. So yeah, I think it's important to have that conversation early on when you graduate, so that there's not this like expectation put on you that you're probably uncomfortable with. Because once that expectation is set and you start like complying, it's going to be really hard to undo what you've already done, and to kind of uncondition people from expecting money from you. If you've already been in the habit of giving money, you got to kind of set that boundary early.
I always find it so fascinating when people talk about, because people love to talk about the American dream, and anyone can make it, and obviously there's some like, okay, let's be clear, that's pretty uncommon.
Right.
But also, even for people that it does happen for, I feel like we never acknowledge that ascending class to becoming upper middle class, wealthy, what have you, or even just stable middle class is very different when you're doing that with parents and relatives who are also at that place or better, versus getting there and you're the only person from your family who's in that place, who has that stability. So not only often are you responsible for helping someone, or feel obligated to at least offer, because even sometimes people won't take it even if they need it, but also you don't have, in most cases, nearly the same level of financial education that a person of that same class with similar parents would have. And I don't know, I do feel like it's important to, like you said, to set boundaries and to say, this money is mine, and I have to do what I need to do before I can help someone else. But I also feel like even for people who are ready to maybe help someone, that's such an uncomfortable thing.
Oh yeah.
It's so awkward. It can feel embarrassing if you're helping people who are older than you, or even siblings, or peer relatives. And that's something that we really have no tools to navigate. We don't teach people who have changed class how to then navigate possibly helping, whether it's with education or resources, the other people in your family. So what are some of your pieces of advice there?
Yeah, I think it's two things. So one, I sort of alluded to it or mentioned already, which is, for me, this is what worked. I had to sit down and say, okay, Mom, I know that you need help with, my little brother's Catholic school, or, with sending money back home to Dominican Republic for, her sisters and brothers, and my dad's sisters and brothers, so my uncles. But, I have to do all of these different things. And I literally sat down with my mom and showed her my spreadsheet and was like, these are the things that I'm trying to get done. And this is the money that comes in every 2 weeks. So by the time I do this, and this, I have this much money left. I'm willing to give you $75 a month. If you can make that work every month on the 15th, no matter what, I will give you $75 every single month. But once I give you that, till the next month on the 15th, I just don't even ask, because I literally can't. You can see my plan. There's no dollars to give. Like, I'm doing the most I can. And so once I was like fully open and showed my numbers and my plan and my budget, my mom was like, wow, okay, well, like, I see that you have a plan. Like, I think even for some people, like my brother was kind of in the background hearing that conversation. He's like, oh, like, maybe I need a plan. Like, he doesn't have a budget, and he's like 4 years younger than me, so, which is fine. He kind of came to it on his own. But yeah, like, that was not only having that clear conversation, being open about the money, but it was also a model. Like, hey, do you have a plan like this? Like, do you and dad sit down and like go over how much of the cash you bring in or is going to groceries, and how much is going to electric bill, and how much, like, have you guys been doing this like ever in your 30 plus years of marriage? Probably not, right? And so just being a model of like, I have a plan for every dollar was huge. And then the second thing is like really being consistent with not just the funding that you can provide if you are giving money for support, but also beyond that. There's so many other resources that I provided to them that wasn't cash. So like physically being there with my mom, sitting down next to her to help her figure out what bank was right for her or what credit union was right for her when she finally wanted to open a checking account, because she never had one. And then my brother, wanted to get a loan. I was like, I can't give you the cash, but I will sit down next to you and try to find a personal loan that will be the best you can get with your credit score and not charge you an origination fee, right? And he didn't even know what that was, and like origination fees are fees that pretty much in 2021 beyond, you don't have to really pay, because there's so many personal loans that don't charge those types of fees anymore. So it was important for him to hear me say that, and for him to have me next to him helping him through that. So I think even if you're not in the position where you can actually give money, or if you are, that's great, but couple that with being a resource in other ways, showing your budget, helping them budget, showing them the good, resources that you can trust online, how to decipher between a financial institution that's predatory and one that's not. What are the types of questions that you should be asking when someone's offering you financial services? Like, I think these are the types of things that I've been able to give them more than anything else that has probably made more of an impact than me giving them $150, right? Because that's how the saying goes is, you can teach a man to fish and he'll eat for life, rather than giving him food, right? So it's important for me to teach them the skills that I've developed through reading books and watching videos that I feel like are really the things that fundamentally change me, rather than someone coming along and just helping pay off my troubles, and that wouldn't, have changed me. It would have changed my situation. So that's, I think, what I would focus on.